The following is a discussion of the three basic Essbase reporting tools: SmartView, Financial Reporting, and Web Analysis. SmartView is an Excel-based add-in primarily for the purpose of fast reporting and analysis. It gives you spreadsheet and visual views of data, and it's a replacement for some of you that have the older spreadsheet add-in. Financial Reporting is a separate application-based studio for production reporting, where you graphically design and then distribute those production reports. They could be annual reports, quarterly reports, so forth and so on. You can create multiple reports from one report based upon POV member selection, and you do that within the associated workspace. And then you distribute those multiple reports to possibly multiple destinations. The last tool is Web Analysis, which is a web-based as opposed to application-based studio, mainly for dashboard-type reporting. It's better suited for more visual views of data and the control of that data. It can also be used for reporting and analysis, but is not nearly as fast as SmartView. SmartView is a universal Excel user interface, not only for Essbase reporting, but for financial management, planning, financial reporting, so forth and so on. And it contains 6 built-in reporting tools. Not only that, but it can integrate not only with Excel, but you can copy live data into Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. And as stated earlier, it replaces the old spreadsheet add-in. And this is a basic view of what it looks like. So feature-wise, it has a familiar Excel interface. It has a point of view which can be located either in the toolbar, as you saw on the previous slide, or on the grid. It integrates with Word and PowerPoint, where you can copy live data as opposed to static data into Word and PowerPoint presentations. And there are multiple methods of querying: ad hoc querying, building functions, building function grids, using the query designer to produce top and bottom results, creating smart slices, which give you a limited slice of the database to look at, and its associated report designer that gives you graphical displays of that data, and lastly, the newest tool called Smart Query, which allows for highly complex MDX querying. There are also custom solutions that you can create by writing VBA macros with associated SmartView functions. So the basic commands are located in the Essbase ribbon shown below. And the most basic of those commands are zooming in to dimension hierarchies to get more detail, zooming out to remove that detail, moving dimensions from the POV to the grid and vice versa, or pivoting dimensions that are in the rows to the columns and vice versa. And if you have multiple dimensions in the rows or columns, you can transpose the order of those rows or columns. You can also select multiple members from multiple dimensions to keep only those members in those dimensions, or remove only those members from those dimensions that are in the grid. And far beyond the basics, there are many, many different options that control the way SmartView looks and behaves. There's a member selection tool that allows you to select multiple members from large dimensions in many different easy methods. There is a function builder that allows you to create one of many different Essbase functions that can extract data or get information from the Essbase database. You can create what are called function grids via the use of copy and paste commands, and then paste that live data into Word and PowerPoint. There's the query designer that allows you to create top and bottom results. Give me the top 5 products sold in this market. And there are smart slices, which give you the opportunity to create a portion of the database for the viewer to look at, and they can't get outside the bounds of what you select, and the associated report designer, which allows you to create multiple objects to display that data. And lastly, the smart querying method of creating very highly complex MDX queries. Financial reporting is an application-based studio used mainly for production and compliance reporting, because it creates what are called book quality financial reports. So you'll graphically design those reports in something called the Financial Reporting Studio, and then distribute those production reports from the workspace. and those reports contain report objects, either grids, which are essentially spreadsheets, charts, images, and text box. And as I said, it's integrated with Workspace where you can view the reports, and then you can combine those reports into what are called books, and then schedule the distribution of either books and or reports to be distributed across your enterprise. So here are examples of the four objects: an image, a text, a grid, and a chart object. So within Financial Reporting Studio, you'll create a report by adding those objects to the report. And then you'll customize the objects. That's where it gets into the fine detail of making it look good by changing the properties of those objects. And then from Workspace, you can not only view the reports, but you can administer them, decide who has access to them, and then create books from multiple reports and batch the distribution of those books and reports. Here's an example of the Financial Reporting Studio creation tool, in which I've created a text box up here with not only static text but some functions that will retrieve live text. Then there's an image object up here in the left-hand corner, then a grid here which creates the display of what's in the pages, what's in the point of view, what's in the rows and columns, and also changes the view of those items in the grid. And then lastly, a chart of the same data. Then within within Financial Reporting Studio, when you go to the print preview area, you can see the report displayed as it might be seen in Workspace, and there are next and previous buttons to display the multiple pages. And the text function output, like the point of view, COLAs, and actual here, is displayed in the print preview. But to the end user, they'll view it in Workspace, and they'll see the point of view here in these hyperlinks, and they can click on the hyperlinks and change the point of view. And if there are multiple pages in the report, they can select from the drop-down which page they want to see. And once again, the output of the text object, which contains functions, those functions are then resolved to show the point of view of COLAs and actual here. Then from Workspace, you can view and distribute those reports. You can view them in HTML or PDF format. You can collect those multiple reports into a book. You can create multiple reports from a single report by specifying multiple members of any of the POV dimensions, the point of view dimensions. You can distribute those multiple reports via a batch process. So you create multiple reports into a book and then schedule that batch for repeated execution, monthly, weekly, daily, whatever is necessary, and reschedule the batch as needed. And the features of financial reporting include the highly formatted reports that you see, the wide variety of formats. These reports can be clicked on live within Workspace to open up related content. The reports themselves can be dynamic or static, meaning every time they're viewed, they go out and get the current data, or static, where it's an historical snapshot of that data at that point in time. And then, of course, financial reporting is integrated with Workspace for viewing and administering and distributing those reports. Web Analysis is a web-based studio for reporting, analysis, and presentation of Essbase data, and it has an easy-to-use graphical user interface. But its main purpose is that it's better suited for more visual displays of data. Not only can you display a spreadsheet, but you can display a chart, a pinboard, and a freeform grid. And besides that, you can place multiple controls on the report, things like a combo box, a drop-down box, option buttons, a checkbox, tab selection, to display different views of the data or multiple pages of the data, many different ways of controlling what is displayed. And ultimately, you're going to do analysis, presentation, and reporting with Web Analysis. And you will then also be able to distribute these reports via print, HTML web pages, PDF, and online viewing via the Workspace. So the features include the web-based interface, a context-driven graphical user interface, meaning every time you right-click on a different thing, different menu items will appear in the pop-up menu. It has point-and-click analytic features, many of the same analytic capabilities as SmartView, so you can do analysis here. It's usually a bit slower than SmartView within Excel. There are that variety of displays, spreadsheets, charts, pinboards, freeform grids. You can easily deploy these reports. The reports can contain related content, meaning when you click on an item, it will launch another set of data. You can not only display Essbase data, but if you have SAP Business Warehouse, you can display that data with web analysis. And once again, it integrates with Workspace for viewing and distributing those reports. So here's a web analysis example where there's an image here, there's a pinboard there, there's a spreadsheet there, there's a chart there. There are buttons here that can determine the display of what is on the pinboard here, whether we're displaying the data for the small markets, the medium markets, or large markets, and it will affect not only the pinboard but the spreadsheet that you see over here. The spreadsheet contains traffic lighting where certain data will turn things green, yellow, or red, those kinds of things. And when you're in web analysis, you can do many of the same basic analytic capabilities like drilling in, zooming in and out, as we saw earlier with SmartView. You can do a keep only and remove only. You can pivot the dimensions from the rows to the columns and the columns to the rows and change which dimensions are in the pages and the filters, all those kinds of analytic capabilities, and go even deeper into things like traffic lighting where data displays in red, yellow, green, or whatever color you want depending upon what data is received. You can sort that data. You can retrieve only the top and bottom information like the query designer could do in SmartView. And you can create calculated fields like grand totals, averages. And with all of this, you can format what is displayed in many, many ways. For instance, in this dialog, you can format the entire spreadsheet as to how the grid displays, how the header displays, how the data displays. Or you can select specific rows and columns for formatting, their headers, their data, and so forth, and even individual data cells. And so the display possibilities include spreadsheets, charts, a combination of a spreadsheet and chart, a pinboard where you do have the pins on a display, but those pins, the colors of the pins, are based on the underlying spreadsheet, which has been traffic lighted to display things in presumably red, yellow, and green. And with the document designer within web analysis, you can combine multiple objects, as we saw in the earlier slide, where you have multiple visual objects, data controls like the options buttons we saw, and even service execution buttons that will execute certain other programs directly from the report. As far as distribution goes, you can print them, those reports. You can print the screen, you can print just selected data objects, you can print all of the open documents, you can export the data in a web analysis report to Excel, Word, or PowerPoint, and you can export it elsewhere on your network drives that you have access to, or even exchange those documents via shared services. For more detailed information on either SmartView, financial reporting, or web analysis, view other webinars that are distributed by HCG, or if you have any questions or want deeper detail, feel free to contact HCG in any of the methods you see on the screen.